Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to bring you one upcoming project that is brand new, and then I'm going to talk about some projects on the secondary market on OpenSea that I'm looking to buy or that I've already bought, just because we are in a bear market for sure. Volume is super low and there's a lot of good deals going on right now that a lot of people aren't taking advantage of because all they see is prices falling, rather than looking at it from the other perspective, which means you're going to get a better price point for when the bull market restarts and we start to see these prices surge in the future. So before I dive in, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and let's hop into it. So the project that I want to talk about that hasn't yet minted is called MoonsieNFT. Now this project is only about 2 weeks old and their Discord isn't even launching until mid-March. On top of that, this is going to be a relatively low supply collection, 5.5k. They're fully 3D animated, so the entire collection is 3D, and the reason I know this is because I talked to one of the team members, and on top of that, this is going to be a play to earn PvP game based on iOS or Android devices. And so based on talking to the team, they're already working on their app, their game, it is already in development, and essentially they plan on making this into something like Brawl Stars. And if you're not familiar with Brawl Stars, it is one of the most popular iOS and Android apps for MOBAs, so multiplayer online battle arena, and the gameplay, the user interface uses this isometric 2.5D characters, and so that's essentially what they're planning on doing with MoonsieNFT. They plan on making something like Brawl Stars, where you're going to have these 3D animated NFTs, and then when it comes to the game, there are going to be these isometric 2.5D type characters. Now on top of that, this is a team of 8 people. They all plan to fully dox when they drop their Discord. Another important point is that they actually started working on this project back in October of last year, so this has been in development for quite some time. And with that being said, they do plan on releasing some gameplay, so a gameplay teaser pre-mint of what you can expect and see in the game before it actually starts minting. 2 other things that I really like about this collection is that it is going to be whitelist only. It is going to be a whitelist only mint, which I think is great because that typically leads to lower mint prices. And on top of that, this is not going to be a generative collection, meaning every single NFT, every single token is done by hand, all of the traits, all of the combining and everything like that, which I think is awesome. I just wanted to bring this to your attention because the art caught my eye. I think these look really good, and I just reached out and asked if they could get on a call. They got back to me pretty quickly, and then we discussed like what their plans were, what they're already doing, all the stuff that they're already in development on. And I think this looks really good and it has a lot of potential, especially if they can make something like Brawl Stars and it's already in development. And the last thing I'll say is that they don't actually plan on launching until May, which is great. That's still 2 to 3 months away, which means they're planning to put a lot of effort in building into this project rather than just popping up overnight and minting in the same month. So that's it for MoonsieNFT. I highly recommend you give them a follow and turn on those post notifications for when they do drop the Discord. You can be one of the first ones to get in there because this could be a really good NFT. And hopefully by the time these guys launch, whenever they do open their Discord and they start minting, we'll be in a different cycle in the NFT market, and minting projects will go a lot smoother, will be a lot more frugal for everyone involved. All right, so now we're going to hop into some projects on the secondary market that I think are potentially worth picking up or that I've already picked up. But with that being said, do keep in mind that this carries significantly more risk than just minting a project because we're talking about a lot higher entry points, so there's a lot more room for fluctuation. On top of that, no matter what anyone says or what the NFT collection is, these are highly speculative plays, so do keep that in mind. The first project that I want to bring to your guys' attention, one that I actually picked up this weekend, is going to be Alex Becker and Elio Trade's Neo Tokyo. Now specifically, I want to talk about Neo Tokyo Outer Identities. So Outer Identities is the second collection, the second part of the Neo Tokyo overall collection, not to be confused with the Neo Tokyo Identities, the original season 1. These have a much higher floor price, but keep in mind it is still all part of the same collection. There's only about 4.5k of the Outer Identities and 2,000 of the original season 1 identities. And the one thing I will say about Neo Tokyo is that if we go to buy now, the floor price yeah, there's only 9 listed out of the entire collection. So while it might look like the floor price is terrible considering what we had or saw in January when we were seeing an average sale price of 175 ETH, which is absolutely crazy. And do keep in mind, this was a free mint. This is the highest ROI mint that there has ever been in the NFT space, especially if you include or factor in bytes, which is the currency of Neo Tokyo. But I am not here to explain Neo Tokyo to you. I'm here to tell you a good buying opportunity, in my opinion, a play that I have personally made, and that is going to be on Neo Tokyo Outer Identities Season 2. So we're going to go into AZEROTH, my alpha group, and I'm going to break this down just how I broke it down for them. So essentially what I said is that I don't make a lot of these plays because at the end of the day, my goal is to make as much money as possible. As you know, I've said it very blatantly on pretty much every video, and I'm very transparent about it. I definitely flip 95 to 98% of every project I mint, and I hold or look to buy the ones that I think are worth holding. So my strategy has and pretty much always will be flip most projects, stack up my ETH until I can use that ETH and reinvest into projects that I believe are long long-term holds or quote-unquote blue chips. So as I mentioned, I've been waiting to get into Neo Tokyo for a while, specifically season 2. The floor price was 15 ETH back in January, and we're currently seeing a floor price of about 2.5 to 3 Ethereum. I also mentioned that when I invest in a project to hold, I'm really investing in the people and the teams behind them, and that's what I'm doing with Neo Tokyo. I'm investing in Alex Becker and his vision because I know that he's a very intelligent guy, but most importantly, he knows how to execute and make things happen. He also runs a $50 to $100 million marketing business outside of crypto called Hyros that has nothing to do with crypto, so I know that at the end of the day, he has both the connections and the resources to pull off something revolutionary in the space. He's also working on a gaming company for Neo Tokyo called SuperShotgun.game, where he's looking to hire some of the top developers and artists in the industry, offering them top of the line pay. So with all that being said, I'm not going to go into the complexities of Neo Tokyo because as I mentioned in this post, I could do a whole video on Neo Tokyo, but we're going to dive into the analytics. I'm going to hop on Icy Tools and show you why I decided to actually pull the trigger on this trade. Number one is that I've been eyeing this collection for a while and I've wanted to get in. We are also at an all-time high of 15 ETH and now we are sitting between 2 and 3 ETH. Now that is a double-edged sword because in my mind, that's not necessarily the most healthy pullback, and that's why I think that this is a more risky play because ideally we would have dropped to something like 7 or 8 ETH instead of having the percentage drop that we did. But with that being said, I have a high conviction in Alex Becker and his vision. Additionally, we are definitely in an NFT bear market. We are seeing $50 million days, which we haven't seen in over 4 months, seeing nearly back-to-back 50, 60, $70 million days. So with that being said, this is the peak time in my opinion to start buying these projects up if you were ever going to pull the trigger on these plays. So when it came down to it, I saw that for about 10 days, we were consolidating at 2 to 3 Ethereum. Every time that the floor price hit 2 Ethereum, we basically bounced up towards 4 Ethereum, and we just been consolidating in this range between 2 to 4, specifically for the floor about 2.2 to 3 realistically. So when it came to this weekend and we actually bounced off 2 Ethereum again, I hopped in. This is actually probably my sale right there at 2.68 Ethereum, and we're kind of just still consolidating and holding in this range. So basically what I'm looking for is us to hold this range, and when the volume starts coming back in, Alex Becker starts talking more about Neo Tokyo and his plans, then we'll start to see the pump. Now the other thing worth mentioning is that there is a full set. So there is the identity, there is the item cache, and there is the land. In my opinion, you don't need all three for those. Obviously it would be ideal, but if you really just want to make this a long-term play to buy, sell, and flip, you could definitely get away with just buying the identity. And the last thing that I'll say that makes me bullish on Neo Tokyo, specifically outer identities, is that there's only 121 items listed for sale, which is less than 3% of the entire collection. And on top of that, if we wanted to get to 8 Ethereum, which is about a 3x from here, there's only 71 items listed. Now the next collection I want to talk about, definitely worth mentioning, is Doodles, especially after they made their collection called Space Doodles, where essentially you could stake and hold your doodle for a space doodle so you can trade in between. And unfortunately, some people who did not realize this when this first launched traded their doodle for a space doodle and then sold it for like 5 or 6 ETH, not realizing that whenever you do that, you're actually selling your original doodle. And at the time, these had like a 12 ETH floor, so they were really just selling their own doodle for 50% of the floor price, which is super unfortunate. But anyways, Doodles has definitely stood the test of time. They pretty much go nothing but up every single time we have a bull cycle. They also did something really unique and innovative. They turned their entire collection into an animated Space Doodles collection where you could trade your doodle, like I said, for these space doodles, which I think is awesome. These look really amazing, and you can tell that they put a lot of time, work, and energy into crafting these and making sure that they were really unique and something that their community would actually really want. So on top of that, the fact that they are holding nearly a 10 ETH floor price in this market is enough to tell me that this is definitely worth scooping up if you can, if you have the liquidity, because if it's doing as well as it is in this market when we are seeing $50 million days, imagine when we see the next bull cycle when we're seeing $200 million days or more, especially as new people come in and start flooding the market. The last collection I want to talk to you guys about, obviously Azuki. I had to throw Azuki in. This collection is holding up amazingly, especially in this market, fluctuating between 9 and 12 ETH. And the fact that we're holding up to a collection like Doodles, which has been around for a lot longer of a time, just tells me that this project has so much potential to become a long-term blue chip project. Now, with that being said, is this the best time to buy? I don't know. That depends. We've seen 8 ETH a couple of times, but every time we approach 8 ETH, we really bounce off extremely quickly. Buyers are coming in, and that's kind of the same thing with Neo Tokyo. Those are the things you want to watch out for. If there's a certain level or price point that as soon as the floor hits, it is bouncing off, that basically means there's a lot more buyers than sellers. So the buying demand, the buying conviction is a lot higher than the selling conviction or demand. And that is typically when you want to buy up, just as if you were looking at a crypto chart and Ethereum was bouncing off 3K as support. It's the same exact thing. It's a support, a supply and demand zone, a liquidity zone, whatever you want to call it, they're all the same thing. And if you want to learn more, I highly recommend you check out their website. They have the best website and platform that I've seen in the NFT space. Their team is really innovating. They're not using any third-party applications. They're not using shortcuts. They built their own protocol, ERC-721A, which is basically the contract that every major or smart project is using today. So in my opinion, these guys are just truly innovators in the space, and why I'm continuing to hold mine and why I actually want to pick up more to add to my collection in the near future. So that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to bring you guys at least one project that you could look forward to potentially mint in the future. In these market conditions, we're just seeing a lot of flops. A lot of projects just aren't worth minting right now. These are the times where if you have been stacking your ETH up on the side, or you just want to get into something established, this is the exact time when you should be focusing on buying up blue chip or more established NFT collections. So with all that being said, hopefully you guys took something away from this video. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you liked, subscribed. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.